Hello everybody, welcome back to Screen Stars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2019 horror film Random Acts of Violence, which is co-written and directed by Jay Baruchel. And it stars Jesse Wilson, Jordana Brewster, who you will recognise from the Fast and the Furious films, Jay Baruchel himself, who you will recognise from films like Tropic Thunder, etc., Simon Northwood and Neve Wilson. Now this film follows Jesse Wilson's character Todd, who is a successful comic book writer stroke creator, who essentially this comic book series is very violent, it's very popular, and it's based on a real life serial killer some years previously. However, he's struggling for an ending for his comic book. It's coming to an end and he can't find an ending really to finish it off, so he goes on a road trip with his partner, played by Jordana Brewster, and his co-comic book creator, stroke publisher, help friend, Ezra, played by Jay Baruchel, and his assistant Aurora, played by Neve Wilson. So they go on this road trip for him to try and get some inspiration to finish his comic book. But also Jordana Brewster's character Kathy is writing a book on said previous serial killer, to try and focus on the victims and things like that. So it's a bit like a road trip movie. However, while on the road, they notice that some brutal killings that are taking place have some stark similarities to some of the killings within Todd's comic books, and lo and behold, his comic book come to haunt him, if you like, as this serial killer has taken an interest in him and his friends. That's the basic plot of the film, I guess, without giving away spoilers. What are my thoughts on Random Acts of Violence? Well, this film, I think, showed a lot of potential, certainly the first half of the film. I thought it was nicely directed, it had some visual flair, some good ideas going on visually, that I think from about the halfway point on kind of just turned into a standard slasher film. Unfortunately, it ran out of ideas a little bit about halfway through, I think. That's not to say it's a bad film. I don't think this is a bad film at all. I just think it didn't deliver on the promise that it showed early on, I suppose. It's very violent. It really doesn't hold back, and it's very brutal, some of the death scenes. So certainly fans in the horror genre that enjoy a bit of violence and I suppose gore in your films will appreciate some of the scenes in this film. It's about, like I say, halfway through it turns into a little bit of a predictable slasher, which kind of took me by surprise because I wasn't expecting that. I thought it was going to try, well, I don't know. When I say I wasn't expecting it, I was the first half of the film, I think this film tries to do a lot visually. It tries to tell the story a little bit differently. Some audience members might appreciate that, some might find it frustrating. I was somewhere in the middle at the beginning of the film, like the first half of the film. There are elements of it that I thought were really nicely done, nicely thought out, and then there are elements of it that were frustrating me because it didn't feel like it was going anywhere, the film. I think the film is hard to describe because it's a film that's full of promise and ideas that almost gives up on itself and just thinks, oh, we'll just give them a slasher film. That's what they want. Yeah, we'll do that. Yeah. Everybody agree? Right, we'll do that. And that's kind of how it felt. And then the ending got a little bit, I think it thought the ending was going to be a bit clever. But I actually found the ending a little bit predictable. It was going to go one of two ways at the end, and it went the way I thought it was going to go. And it gives you too many clues. I think it tried to be a little bit too clever for its own boots, this film. I think it thought it was giving you these cerebral flashes for you to dwell on, but in actual fact it was giving away the ending and it was spoiling the film, and anybody with half a brain could put two and two together at some point in this film, and that's what happened. So I think it kind of spoilt itself when you watch the film. I think it like I say, I think it thought it was a little bit more cerebral than it actually was, and it didn't need it either. Some of these flashes, some of these images it was showing, other than the way they were shot and lit and the way they looked, which was quite nice and unique, I don't think the film needed it. I think it actually harmed the film. I think it would have been better for audiences to find out what was going on as the characters were, and not like give you these visual clues now and again. So it's a bit of an unbalanced film, this. I think there are things in it that really work. I do think it had potential. I think Jay Baruchel as a director has potential. I mean, I think he previously, the only thing I can remember him directing was did he direct both the Goon films or just one of them? I think he wrote both of them. I'm not sure. Anyway, he has got a history with directing, and he's still young, so he's got plenty of time, I think, to grow as a director, and there is certainly potential there. I think this was just more a case of probably him being a fan of slasher films, wanting to do his own take on a slasher film, maybe, and maybe overstretched himself. I'm not sure, but it's a decent film to watch. There are, like I say, some very brutal kills in it. The performances are all fine. I don't have an issue with any of that in the film, and it's got a real nice visual flair to it as well. So I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. I think it's slightly above average. I think there was an awful lot of potential there, and I think it could have been an awful lot better. But it is certainly worth checking out if you're a fan of slasher films, because it's a nicely made one, certainly. So that's my review for Random Acts of Violence. I hope you liked it. If you did, please support the channel and click the like button. It's very helpful. And of course I will be back with more reviews on Screen Stars very soon.